Hello, everyone, and welcome to week number 305 of the virtual Cobalt Cafe Poetry Reading Series. Glad to have you all here. My name is Rick Lupert. I am the MC of this shindig that you have found yourself at. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited to hear the people who are going to be reading in the open reading, and I'm especially excited to hear our featured reader, JeFF Stumpo, who, now that he's come 3 weeks in a row, is actually officially a regular. I don't know if you're aware of that, Jeff, but that's what happens when you come 3 weeks in a row. And I know you're going to give us a great reading. We're going to do a chunk of our open reading first, 5 open readers, and then we will have Jeff come on for his featured reading. And then we will, what will we do then? Then we'll have the rest of the open reading. And then after that, we will end, and you will do whatever it is that you want to do with the rest of your time that you have left today. And you don't even need to tell us what that is. If you would like to read in the open and you haven't already done so, please send me a message in the chat. I will add you to the list. I've randomized the order from everyone who signed up before 29 minutes after the hour. FYI, Denise. Hallelujah, you will be up first, so prepare yourself. Yeah, there you go. Looks like you're ready. Get that panic out. Um, uh, 2 poems maximum. Less is more is the official suggested time limit, so keep that in mind as you're putting together how much it is that you would like to read. Make sure you have the chat room open so you can interact with each other, since unmuting yourself is turned off out of an abundance of caution against the Zoom bomber community. Beyond that, we also have a 1 drink minimum here at the Cobalt Cafe. Make sure that you have a beverage handy of any kind to, that's an orange, Richard. That doesn't count. There's work to do to make that a beverage. You know what I'm saying? I can't just like put a pile of barley here and go, oh, look, it's whiskey. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have standards. We have standards. So anyway, you need a beverage of some kind. It's easily squeezable, Richard, though. I didn't mean to discourage you. You could have that juiced in moments. Anyway, enough about that. I think that's everything I need to tell you before we get going, except to ask before we get going if there are any questions. Martin Parker shoots his hand up. Yes, Martin.
Good evening, Rick. I was wondering if you have a favorite bird that you sometimes see in your neighborhood.
Herb?
Bird, B-I-R-D.
Oh, because I was going to say Herb Tarlick from WKRP, but he's actually not in my neighborhood, so that wouldn't have been an accurate. Favorite bird? Yes, I really like the crows in my neighborhood. Um, there's a bunch of them. I've got the where my office is. There's a skylight kind of thing that was built into the house, um, which only serves to annoy me most of the time. But sometimes a crow, will sit right on the top of there. So basically, I get to look at a crow's ass sometimes if I look straight up, which is kind of cool. But I like their whole vibe. I like the sound that they make. That's my favorite neighborhood bird.
Cool. Glad to hear.
All right. Thank you, Martin. Any other questions? All right. No other questions. Then we will move on to our open reading, and we will say, Bill Gaines, you are on deck. You will be our second reader. Please welcome our first reader, Denise Dumars. Hello, Denise.
Hello, everybody. Well, I've been kind of going along with the poems that I started here with Stucco, and I did 3 of them, and I actually got all 3 published. So I'm doing another one. This one is called Paint, and somehow it turned into a serious poem. I don't know how. Paint. Paint is just pigmented water nowadays, but I remember when thick oil-based enamel patinated on walls in kitchen and bath, impasto of the house painter's art. I reminisce on one particular house built in the 1920s, elaborate wrought iron scroll work define the living room and its place away from halls leading to more private chambers. Small chips on the bathroom doorframe betrayed a history of enamel layers, like portraits of past spouses, revealing the embarrassing intimacy of color decor of a bygone age. I sat alone in that living room once, noting the heavy gold drapes lined with sheer Irish lace to let the light in, and wondered why anyone let me in. Where nothing so gauche as Venetian blinds, the dust-trapped nemesis of my childhood home, fought with oil-based enamel in colors called shell and bone, the choices of my Scorpio mother. Offsetting bathroom tile created its own liminal shade somewhere between azure and Candelaria turquoise, such as you've seen in every 1950s diner from Boston to Bisbee. Such things that used to last, made suspect by chemicals whose only danger lie in taking them away. As we breathed in those remediated particles of asbestos, mercury, and lead. And this one is mercifully short. I think I've read it before here, but I'm not sure. It's called Forgotten. What will I have forgotten by the time the next crisis comes around? What color is the sea when you look through alien glasses? What are humans and insects compared to awakening clouds? I've no interest in the dark that they keep selling in false light of other dawns. Reflection is as real when reality no longer exists. Stray breezes strafe the beach, and sand crabs know to hide. We are not used to hiding. When we face the ocean, we lift our callow faces and think we own the sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Nice to hear your work again. It occurred to me that some of the questions you asked in that second poem would be great titles or premises for other poems. So maybe take a
That's a
look
good
at those
idea.
and see what you come up with, because those are pretty cool things to think
Thank
about.
you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you, everybody.
no problem. Thanks for being here. Round of applause for Denise Dumars. On deck, Sean Mahoney. Please welcome Bill Gaines. Hello, Bill.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Rick. I have two short ones. Let me just pull them up here. This one's excuse me. Let me try that again. This one is called Clouds Marching. The clouds march along across the continent, slowly changing shape. And so do we, playing our little part in the movement of water. End of piece. And the next one is called Canned Beans at Home. Restaurant month is over now. It's time for canned beans at home. Cooking is life. It's not worth the effort. The dog doesn't care. He's empty inside. The choices are different, but the stew is the same. The stove is a dangerous lover, and I came for the heat. End of piece.
Folk singer Fred Small, referring to a cow and a moose who found each other, said famously, at least in my memory, it takes a lot of courage to date outside your species. I'm not sure how that applies to kitchen appliances, and the possibility of connecting with them in that way, Bill. But
Well, there's more than one way to find out.
sure. There's at least one way to find out, and that, my friend, is your assignment for the week. So please report back next week and let us know what happens.
You got it.
Bill, thank you for being here. Round of
Thank
applause
you.
for Bill Gaines. Well done, Bill. On deck, Martin Parker. Please welcome Sean Mahoney. Hello, Sean.
Hey, Rick. Hey, everybody. Question. So, are the odors one detects in the kitchen actually pheromones being released by kitchen appliances? I have one for you tonight. This is something new, and it's a couple days old, and yeah. Who doesn't like? I composed it because who doesn't like to read Mother of Pearl? I composed it because I needed for my interiors to shine. I wrote it for another poet, I think. She had used the word nacre, and I needed to learn pronunciation ahead of definition. If your metal is in looking and gleaming with so much luscious, you damn well better know how to say your own name. Passing back and forth between the chats and sites, wanting for invites onto the party of the page, a keg of ideas, a dance floor of erasers and delete all hand sequences. Bombastic nacre sliding along walls, carefree body art of pomegranate juice, orange peel, peach skin, porcelain, hard mold, a lifetime of well-built barriers. Interlocutionless, interlocking plates of faith, of belief in piano percussion striking strings back towards tree, stone, and warm mud moving, and other taboo adults in the room never meant for you to see. I wrote it because who doesn't like watching itchy, squirming, uncomfortable people? The man at the recruitment office remarked that his sergeant would enjoy all my questions. 17 and speechless, not physical assault, but jokey emasculation delivered smooth as though we spoke of trim. Shiny and multi, ripe, watering button, mother pearl, composite, composition, the fury of furies. Thank you.
Thank you. Great piece, Sean. I'm not sure how to answer the pheromones question. I'm
I
still
think
coming
Bill
in.
has to answer that.
Bill, yeah, I wonder if he's still here. Bill, are you still there? Do you have something to say about pheromones in your kitchen?
Not yet. The experiments are being designed, and I will report back once findings are conclusive.
Okay, thank you for your work on this, Bill.
Will it be
Sean,
a
thank you
chapbook?
what?
Will it be a chapbook?
Everything will be a chapbook. Is a great title for a chapbook, I think. So just keep that in mind. Sean, thank you so much for being here. Well done.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Round of applause for Sean Mahoney. Two more readers, then our featured reader, JeFF Stumpo, Melody Anderson, Bermides, you are on deck. Please welcome Martin Parker. Hello, Martin.
Hello again, Rick. Well, that whole discussion reminds me of a title of a song by a band called Quiet Sun, which included the guitarist Phil Manzanera, who was later and previously, before they got back together, in Roxy Music. The song was called Mummy Was an Asteroid, Daddy Was a Small Plastic Kitchen Utensil. One of my favorite song titles, but trigger warning, it's fairly psychedelic. Anyway, I've got something completely different. I've got a poem here that I think I may have read a while back, but it's been reworking it a little bit lately. This is called Motion. Sorry, my phone keeps acting up here. I used to love to drive a car on country lanes through changing trees. My partner's hand would rest on mine as I would shift the gears with ease. We'd make our way to quiet lakes, rejoicing at the sight of birds with crimson heads or golden wings, while sharing all our favorite words. Then heading out in a sleek canoe, we'd wend our way along the shore and witness a kingfisher diving down, a sight we'd never seen before. But as I cannot drive these days, we move through life in other ways. Pardon me there. So I've got one more then. As usual, I've been finding poems with similar titles to the ones I've been writing. This week I came across one by Octavio Paz, called Motion, or in the original Movimiento. But I'll read it in English since I haven't had a chance to memorize the Spanish yet, which is on my list to do. Motion. If you are the amber mare, I am the road of blood. If you are the first snow, I am he who lights the hearth of dawn. If you are the tower of night, I am the spike burning in your mind. If you are the morning tide, I am the first bird's cry. If you are the basket of oranges, I am the knife of the sun. If you are the stone altar, I am the sacrilegious hand. If you are the sleeping land, I am the green cane. If you are the wind's leap, I am the buried fire. If you are the water's mouth, I am the mouth of moss. If you are the forest of clouds, I am the axe that parts it. If you are the profaned city, I am the rain of consecration. If you are the yellow mountain, I am the red arms of lichen. If you are the rising sun, I am the road of blood. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll put my usual links in the chat in case anybody wants to support me in my heart. Thank you again.
Thank you, Martin. Really great poem you just shared with us. Really dug that. I kept like every time you said I'm gonna refer back to that. So but then the next one was just as good. So like do me a favor, read that poem back to yourself and imagine me saying it to you as my response. Really dug it.
Cool. Glad you liked it.
Thanks for being here. Round of applause from, oh, go ahead.
I hope you liked the other one too.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Round of applause for Martin Parker. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
On deck is our featured reader, JeFF Stumpo. Please welcome now Melody Anderson Bermides. Hello, Melody.
Hey everyone, it's always hard to follow Martin, but I will do my best. The prompt I'm using is write a poem about a relationship you're building. Well, it starts with Mike, an accidental friend. My Mike is my brother, Mike, who forever will be the Mike I love. When I think of him, I think of a kind, happy person. Years ago, he visited me in San Francisco, bought 3 bags of groceries, which we needed, and cleaned the apartment, which we needed too. If I skip over how he died, I can go with the lightness of being. My Mike, a mechanic, killed himself by looping a tube into the car's fuel tank. Mike had one bad day out of many, although his wife may have thought differently. His daughter thinks Mike is the best dad ever, and for that I am forever grateful. Mike, an accidental friend. Mike, an accidental friend, texted the wrong cell phone number. He began with, "Hope your weekend's off to a good start. Still open for lunch next week?" He was so friendly that I responded immediately. He texted, "My mistake, I'm Mike." Mike, my Mike, not my Mike, but a Mike. Because I'm not much of a texter, I asked a younger cousin what to do about my accidental friend. She didn't know what that meant, so Googled it. We are so ripe with ways to find instant information. She said accidental friend meant unplanned, started without either person trying to make a new friend. My cousin goes on, "Ha, if you enjoy his camaraderie, yes, you could continue." It sounds as if Cousin Candy has been here before. I worry that I am too old as dirt, as my mother would say. I wonder what Mike, my accidental friend, worries about. I let my Mike watch over all of this and laugh. When I'm lost, I talk to him, my Mike, an intermediary to God, if there is one. The tale of Mike, an accidental friend, goes on. I take it slow, and he does too. Who knows? We may get along after all. Thank you.
Melody, thank you. Congratulations on your new friend. Um, Whenever I meet someone named Mike, I always kind of wonder if they automatically get a spot in open mics, or if there's ever been an all Mike open mic, as well. These are things I think about between Cobalt readings in the middle of the week. But enjoyed that, Melody. I hope you and Mike are doing well, and thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Round of applause for Melody Anderson Bermides. On deck after our featured reader will be Ike Waltz, which leads us now to our featured reader, JeFF Stumpo. Jeff came to my attention thanks to the daily Rattle email. Jeff was published in Rattle earlier in the year, a poem about whale song, I think, as I recall. Really good. I read the Rattle's poem every morning before I do anything important. And very often, I'm always impressed with the uh, breadth of types of poems and poets that show up in Rattle. I really dig their sensibility. If you're not on their daily email list or a subscriber for that matter, I highly recommend it. Tough magazine to get into just by the sheer number of people who submit, let alone whether or not anyone's work is any good. But always good stuff coming from them, including Jeff. Jeff, as I mentioned earlier, has now been at Cobalt Poets 3 times, which officially makes Jeff a regular, which is pretty cool. That after only 3 times, you're already a featured reader. Pretty good. Usually takes our regulars a little longer to make it that far. So put that on your list of accomplishments. It's probably a more exciting name for that, but there you go. Jeff is the author of the book These Are the Waterfalls in My Head, which was awarded this year's Granite State Prize by Diana Lee Antigua. And it's available through Yaz Press, which is from University of New Hampshire. Poems from it have appeared in places including Prairie Schooner, the Journal, Salt Hill Journal, DMQ Review, and Subnivian, where they won the 2025 Subnivian Award for Poetry. That's pretty cool, Jeff. Jeff is a survivor of psychosis and PTSD. He's a husband to a PhD chemist and father to an amazing trans son. He has a poor website at jeffstumpo.com. I read your bio on your website too, Jeff, and I really appreciated the humility that you demonstrated there. I think I'm paraphrasing, but you said something like you are a sidekick to really the smart one, referring to your wife. I thought that was really cool thing to put on your website bio. Well done. Very happy that you're here. Please welcome our featured reader, JeFF Stumpo.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. So yes, I'm going to be reading 11 poems from These Are the Waterfalls in My Head, which is my debut full-length collection. I've had 5 chapbooks published over the years from various places, primarily Seven Kitchens Press, but a handful of others, including Unicorn Press. So before I do anything else, the reading comes with a content warning for discussions of mental health and various isms that permeate various of the works. So that's the general warning, which lets me get into. So I have various mental health issues. I have schizophrenia. I wasn't properly diagnosed with it till I was 29. Prior to that, I was a high-functioning schizophrenic, except for the times that I wasn't, which if you've ever been in such a situation, that will make perfect sense to you. I would sometimes go weeks or months not really sure if I was awake or asleep because I'm also a lucid dreamer. I am in control of myself in my dreams. I can't control what else is going on in them. But since I was a little kid, I would have horrible nightmares and often be unable to tell if it was actually happening or not. Um, in 2017, I had a stroke that wasn't a stroke. My mother-in-law came over to the house and found me on the couch with my left side drooping, me slurring my words and not really aware of what was going on. They took me to the ER, and the attending neurologist goes, "Okay, so we tested you, and you didn't technically have a stroke, but your brain got so stressed that for all intents and purposes, it convinced your body that you were having one." And started asking me questions about my mental health past, and eventually got around to things about dreams. And I believe that the phrase, "No, it's not normal for people to have violent nightmares every night of their life," came out of his mouth at some point. I had to stop teaching. I had been teaching at the university level. I finished out the semester, um, tried to hold down a couple of part-time jobs and wasn't able to, and I stopped writing for 5 years. When I started writing again in 2022, I began writing these little prose poems representing actual dreams that I had had over my lifetime. Um, just to externalize them from myself, because one as a therapeutic device, one of the things that you do is take something that is traumatic to you and treat it as something other than an integral part of your own brain so that you can deal with it as a separate object. And so that's what I started doing with these poems. As the year went on, I started going, okay, I don't just want to render these painful events. I want to try and find some meaning for them that at the time I was too confused or too scared to come up with. So some of the poems I started writing in epiphanies at the end of them. And then as time continued to go on, I started going, okay, what if this isn't just about me? What if I start taking the hopes and fears of people that I care about and turning those into dreamscapes so that it expands the scope of what is quickly becoming an entire manuscript. So over the course of the year, I wrote about 120 prose poems, and over the next couple of years, pared those down to 64 or 65 that eventually became the book. Um, and so some of them are literal dreams that I've had. Some of them are things that are dreamlike interpretations of moments in my life. Some are dreamlike interpretations of things like the poem that Rick turned into a broadside for these purposes comes from the experiences of my friend Crystal, who was pulled over literally 30 times in 2 years in College Station, Texas, for driving while black. And I'm going to read that one as part of what I read today. Um, you may notice that I'm doing a lot of front loading here. I'm not going to do any banter in between these 11 poems. I'm just going to read through them. And rather than applauding in between, what I'm going to ask you to do, and this is what I've done at all the readings, is that after each poem, we're going to take a deep breath and then exhale it. Um, and furthermore, I am structuring these poems such that we're going to start with the first poem in the book that sets the stage, read three that are just dreamlike logic, read four that are nightmares, and then three that are increasingly positive, such that there is a cathartic bent to this little reading where we descend and then ascend out of the negativity that has accrued. So, um, that's the cover of the book, but I have these in a document to help keep them straight for myself so that I don't have to go flipping back and forth. And I begin. Tonight you are washing your hands in the bathroom sink when your reflection reaches out and grabs you by the wrist. You stumble back so that you can't be pulled into the mirror, but that's not its goal. It wants out. It's crouching on its sink, slinking through the space where the mirror was. You see its home and wish you hadn't. There are dead vines extending into your world, blood flowers blooming dustily. Everything is covered in thorns, even the you that wants you gone. You are trying to wake up, but you've always known you were the most frightening thing in your life. Tonight you are plowing through clouds of locusts on a motorcycle. There is a frog on your windshield catching bugs with its tongue. You cross a river of blood on a bridge that's a snake. The sun is a wheel with eyes. Your beard is long as God's and flailing behind you. Your sunglasses are on, your arms outstretched to the handlebars. You are riding behind the four bikers of the apocalypse, trailing mercy in your wake. You are the angel of the second chance, and your radio is tuned to the music of the spheres. Tonight you are peddling your skeleton outside Prague, your skin hanging off the handles of a pushcart. When the wind blows in your ears, it pushes the word cold out of your mouth and sends your soul rattling about the sacs you call lungs. You don't remember coming here, just the need for coin. A child who is neither a girl nor a boy skips up to you. Cold. The wind whistles out of you, but the child giggles and calls you silly. You can't walk home with bones of gold. And just like that, they are threading you back together, a doll that lost its stuffing. Like that, they are sending you on your way. Tonight you are famous and naked. You look down. Excuse me, you can't look down the way a pig can't look up, but you know you're wearing nothing but the guitar slung around your neck. Somehow the audience doesn't realize, so long as you start singing soon. You can't sing. The words were stolen by the albatross. You back into the drums, and the drummer mistakes it for a cue. You are awkward. They mistake it for swaggering indifference. This was a mistake. You don't know how you got here. A bottle falls, breaks, the big bang. The drummer hesitates. The audience buzzes, but suddenly you know the words. You won't remember them when you wake. If you ever wake, you're sure this is a dream. None of these people are real. That's how you know you're really famous. You are clear-throated and strong and forgetful. You are bigger than gods. The audience miles beneath you like airplanes. Tonight you are hungry and faithless in a cathedral. To say it is crowded is understatement. Starving people lie atop one another, stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks. The children are crying. Everyone is in rags except the priests who are not there at all. You rattle the locked doors, and it sounds like 1,000 stomachs rumbling. The adults are weeping too now, and the children are trying to drink their tears, but everything evaporates too soon. You know it's wrong, but you keep thinking 10% of the human body is water. You grip the busts of saints, try to crush them into bread. You are overturning basins that hold no holy liquids. You have a hammer with which you smash columns to bits, cast them before the people who break their teeth on them. In your head, the old parable echoes. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. Tonight you are pregnant, and your fetus has a gun. It is lazily waving inside your swollen belly. It is threatening your spinal cord, your organs. Your fetus can't even think, yet you are humming lullabies like your life depends on them. Your life depends on them. You are in a yard in front of a nondescript house, shoving a rake impossibly inside you. Police are approaching with their guns drawn. You point to the gun lying in a pool of fetus. Don't they see it? Don't they know what would have happened? The police are shouting things you can't hear over the feedback, like cicadas have taken up in your brain. You feel your uterus swell again. You grow to the size of the world. There is an atom bomb inside you. You never wanted this. You never wished for a weapon. Tonight you are on a dark back road. Your headlights the only sign of civilization. You pass signs you can't read. The road never curves, yet you can't see more than a few yards ahead. Before you know it, you've been pulled over, the red and blue flashes destroying the sanctity of your mirrors. A deer walks up to your window on its hind legs, knocks with a hoof. You're trying to explain that you haven't done anything when its face splits open and the skull drips blood as it orders you to get out. There is a deer in your back seat staring at you with empty eye sockets. There is a pain in your heart like an antler. You're not going to make it home. You're as good as a skull on a wall. Tonight you find the devil at the bottom of a glass. He's red as Georgia dirt, says to call him Johnny, says to call him Lucy, says you can call him what you like. He knows it's been a hell of a day, says they're all like that, and wouldn't he know? Says you can tell him anything, anything at all. He's not here to judge. That boss you quietly wish would up and die. Can't grant that wish, but he'll hear you out. That ex who ran off with the trucker, no, he's looking out for her too, but you can call her anything you like, and he's like to agree. That daggum senator from what's it called? Oh, the stories, he can't tell you about that one, but feel free to speculate. And ain't this what you were afraid of all along? Is it worse that you were right after all, that the devil don't pick sides, that he don't tell you to do nothing you don't want anyway, that his voice goes down smooth like the like whichever bottle that was. The house. It's a bottle. You're a fly. There's no spider. Tonight, you are seated in a darkened tent across from a skeleton selecting tarot cards. The skeleton has a perpetual smile. It lays them in front of you, and every one is death. No lovers, no tower, just deaths in a row. The skeleton leans in. This is all I can promise you. You pick up the deck and stack it in a house of cards. There, you've made the tower. You arrange them in a heart. Lovers. It's true, you realize all fate will deal you is death, but you can do with the knowledge what you will. Tonight you are watching the whales migrate southwards through the sky, trailing summer behind them. Somewhere north of you, the leaves are already turning red and gold like tropical fish. Mary Jane's last dance plays out across the landscape, surrounding you, covering you. You put down your drink, take up a diver's position, launch yourself upward and paddle with your flippers. A dolphin twirls around you, seems to smile. You vaguely recall the coming winter and how something will be taken from you, but the ocean sky takes the worry and disperses it among schools of tiny sparkles. For now, you float and you are whole. I have one last poem, and I lied. This one I am going to say something about quick. So as Rick said, poems in this collection have been published in various journals, some of which are very fine journals and hard to get into, like Prairie Schooner or the Journal or Salt Hill, or voicemail poems. Logan, who joined, was once upon a time an editor for voicemail poems, and they did wonderful work with that. But this poem I showed to my friend Amelia, who is trans, when I was working on this. And she goes, I love this poem. It would make a wonderful trans narrative. Also, I'm making this zine that I'm drawing it by hand, and there's only ever going to be 3 copies of it ever made, and nobody's ever going to see it. Can I have this poem for it? And immediately I'm like, hell yes, Amelia, you can have this poem. So, there's in the acknowledgments, there's Prairie Schooner and voicemail poems, and then there's For You, which is the zine that she made. And this poem is many things, but partly thanks to her. Among things, this is a trans narrative. So this is my last poem for the night, and thank you for your time. Tonight you are in the right body. You know this because your mind is quiet. It's peaceful here. The earth is not trying to draw you into itself. You are not a dinosaur bone abject among the rocks. There's a muffled thought somewhere that you expected this moment would be all action, but instead it is defined by absence. No judge and no jury, no pebble lodged where it doesn't belong. You recall being Sisyphus. You recall the condemnation, but now you are free. There is a stone rolling down a hill, and you are walking the other way. There once was a God who said to you, forever, but that isn't your name anymore. Thank you, everyone.
And now the applause should commence. Jeff, that was such a great set of poems. Thank you so much. Really thoughtfully structured. I appreciated the set induction, all that you told us at the beginning to give us a platform on which to receive these poems. I liked the breath in between the poems. There were so many great lines. Four bikers of the apocalypse, I thought was really clever. Tonight you are famous and naked. Tonight you are pregnant and your fetus has a gun. A lot of people uh, talk about last lines and how great they are. You have amazing first lines, which just immediately grab you. There were so many of those. And I will say this is the from the poem you sent for the broadside. It generally, my modus operandi is if I'm driving and I get pulled over and it's a deer and its face splits open and it tells me to do anything, I automatically do it. There's just no, that's like my religion. That's my law. So I really appreciated the imagery in that poem as well. Um, Super, super great set of poems. Pasted some stuff in the chat. I'm going to share the screen to show the broadside for that poem. Tonight you are on a dark back road. You can download this now at the link I pasted in the chat, the Cobalt Poets website. It's an 11 by 17 print that you can look at on your screen. You can print out. You can do whatever you would like with it. This is how we compensate our featured poets, by making one of these and putting it in our broadside archive and hoping that you'll, quote, buy one by tipping the featured poet, just like at a featured reading where you might drop some money in the hat that goes around. The hat these days, or in this setting, is virtual. I put Jeff's PayPal and Venmo in the chat, so please consider that to be the hat, and drop some coin there if you will. Also, there are two links to Jeff's book. These are the Waterfalls in My Head, one at Amazon, one at bookshop.org. It's available everywhere. So if you have a favorite place that you get books, get it there. I'm about to buy the hell out of that book. So that's another really great way to support a poet, is by getting their books. So, and after hearing all of these poems, I can't imagine you wouldn't want to. So please do that. And finally, there's Jeff's website, where you personally can read his humble bio and wonder about his smart partner and what she might be like. So Jeff, thank you so much. What a great set of poems. I really appreciate your work tonight. You're sort of becoming part of the community just by showing up to check it out. I hope you keep coming back and read more from us, because this space is better with you in it. Thank you for being here.
Thanks. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the evening.
Thank you. Round of applause for our featured reader, JeFF Stumpo. I will mention that next week our featured reader will be Terri Rose Jertson, as a poet I'm familiar with. She's been here once or twice. Interesting raw writer. Looking forward to her next week. That leads us now to the rest of tonight's open reading. Here's who I have in this order: Ike Waltz, Ted Fleischman, Richard Loringer, Billy Sheehan, Jared Campbell, the collab, Kathabella, Jackie Siggy, and Hermione, Michael G. Hickey, Jennifer Elise Wang, Ed Podtastic, and me. If anyone would like to be added, please send me a message in the chat and I will be happy to add you. If you did that and I missed you, I apologize. William James, I see you right there. I'm adding you. You're in. As a friendly reminder, in case you forgot, in case you put these things out of your mind, or in case you came late, it's 2 poems maximum. Less is more is the suggested time limit. There you go. On deck is Ted Fleischman. Please welcome now Ike Waltz. Hi, Ike.
Thank you, Jeff. And how close your dreams are to the edge of reality. And now, the perfect yellow pencil. I started this poem in 1978, being in love with a penthouse way above the clouds of Brussels, Belgium. I am a little American. I live in a digital cloud. I treasure an ice-cold glass of beer and tell the world that I love you. Don't ever leave me alone. My pencil, always pregnant, has 6 yellow sides. On the top, a red eraser, a rubber in denial, providing cover for that menacing H2 tip. I asked the tip to make his point on a white sheet of paper, but avoid to walk the distance of a line. Yes, a line, ever so tricky, but a point will always share a sharper image. And you, my digitals, be aware. Draw me a heart, draw me a heart. But we are so far apart. The day we finally meet, you will have lost being hip, and I lost my heat. Too late for making love. Oh shit. Freedom is a pencil pointing east, west, north, and south, drawing ups and downs, left, right, and a circle around. My mind on a slippery slope, lines in a genealogical code. Stardust is my DNA manipulated by the digital gods. The 5th dimension, there it is. Finally you found the inside of my pounding heart. Scratch soft, scratch hard, replace. Be smart. When the bottomless spirals into that ridiculous trance, you can actually touch and even tango dance. That is opportunity now. My pencil has his own point of view. Looking over the east, he draws a crowded station for a train to arrive. But where does a train eventually go? I will never know. Looking over to the west, he placed little children in a flurry. But what is the name of the game they play? I will never know. Looking up to the north, he walks the prison in a choreography, gang changed in circular display. But what have we done wrong? I will never know. Looking down at south, he finds old people on timeless benches, huddled to keep warm. They arrived in obscurity called silent charm. One day I will touch your lifeless skin with that heartwarming kiss of mine. I wished I could tell you the many things my pencil can draw. I wished you could tell me what is so much more, that there is hope for all things we should treasure. The wish list calls it destiny. Just believe in me. And from its mysterious graphite core, my pencil gives birth to stalking words I never felt before. And he knew and he drew imagination from the limitation of a dot to an actor's fiery line. Now that I forgot what I really meant to say, it's the rhythm of the dancing dot. Oh yes, hell-bent is the end of me. It is us. We are the perpetuum mobile, a lifeline with a happy beginning, with a tearful end. We just can't break the dot. But you will find any god in the center of your yellow pen. That is what I so conveniently forgot. So be smart, start all over, draw me a longing, throbbing heart. Don't chew, as the end of the pen will never taste like the pretty girl so desperately wanted to kiss my pen. Thank you.
Quite an attractive pen you must have had there, Ike. Thank you for that. I think you also take us on a deep dive into the possibility of reality with your work. Thank you so much for being here. Round of applause. Round of applause for Ike Waltz. On deck, Richard Loringer. Please welcome Ted Fleischman. Hi, Ted.
Yo. Hey, poem's titled Fairies, Introduction to the Poem. The communication between computers are under attack from unknowable things that destroy thought, like fairies. The past several nights, restless dreams have driven me at 4 a.m. to the building where I work. I should have been in bed, but instead I was awake at my desk. Fairies exist, small young women that fly in jasmine air and chaos and hold chaos intent. I was the only one who saw them. They ran and flew above me and past me in a noisy swarm, emerged from a singularity on the west wall, through the building to the east wall, and then were gone. I was the only one who saw or heard them. I wanted to tell you this because whatever security we hoped we had in our thoughts are fragile. It is 7 a.m. now, and all the fairies except two have gone. The blue small fairy and the lavender fairy have stayed with me. That's it.
Collecting fairies as he goes. Ted Fleischman. Ted, thank you so much for being here. Good to see you again. It's been a little while. Round of applause for Ted Fleischman. On deck, Billy Sheehan. Please welcome Richard Loringer. Hi, Richard.
Hey, everybody. I wonder if I could share the screen for just a moment, because earlier you were talking about an open mic full of mics. I don't know where that came from. Where did it come from? We were talking about that, right? All right. Because you were talking about an open mic full of mics, and just today, Holly Hardy, who I bet some of you know, sent me this photograph of poet Mike, or I forget his last name, Mike, I forget his last name, pointing at this sign. That's all. I'm going to stop. It was a coincidence. That was a coincidence share, which meant you're on the right track. So I've been able to come for the last 4 weeks, and I can come for 2 more after tonight before I have to start rehearsing again. And I've been sharing pieces of the same thing this whole time, and I'm going to do that the rest of the time as well. As anyone who's been coming has heard me say, I accidentally wrote a crown of sonnets, 15 interlinked sonnets, and I've been sharing 2 of them each week. They ended up, I wrote them all in one day for 15 hours at a poetry writing marathon without having any idea when I started what I would write. And they turned out to be super, I think, pretty good about, addressing our broken culture at the moment. But I think I'll read you the first 2, which didn't start out being about that. The whole piece is called Breaking Crown, but the first 2, I woke up at 6 in the morning and wrote a sonnet, and the first one was about being born, because what else do you do at 6 every morning? First thing every morning, right? And the second one's sort of about trying to see the world clearly. So I'll read those 2, and then I'll be quiet again. Sonnet 1. Into the day we sail, replete. shorn of fiction, shorn of fate, seeming I in a sea of whats, unbethroned by a glut of stricture, unbestained by a school of must, unrestrained with a rush of palate. How many leaves in a shady bower? How many bones in a knuckle stew? How many cells in a brouhaha? Swimming in dearth and swimming in light, brimming with birth and spinning in flight, vimming in earth and all stem ahead. How do we make or break our word? How do we make our bed? That was the first one, and that'll probably warn you to not have a conversation with me at 6 in the morning, because that's how my brain works that hour. The second one goes like this. And remember, I used the last line as part of the first line for the next one. How do we make our bed? How do we steal a look through a crack in the shade at the untaught world, fraught and gleaming, out in the toss of rain, under the sunken log, through the unkempt canal, as we peel from our hearts the barnacled cares, ratchet our spines to stand unswayed, and dig in the loam that can't be owned, for that old cat we still adore, knowledge leached of all desire, the hidden sweetness of the onion. Let us rise through the April dew. Let us forge anew. Anyway, thought I would share the beginning ones. Who knows what comes out at 6 in the morning? I recommend trying to write at 6 in the morning because some weird shit might leak right out. And I'll be here a couple more weeks. And I might have found a publisher, a little press, to put out this chapbook. It's a chapbook, but I'll know more next week. Anyways.
Cool, Richard. I just finished Rising with the April Dew like last week, and it's almost August. I mean, that's how, that's the path I've been on. Also, in your first poem, I wrote down how many cells in a brouhaha. Spell check really only wants there to be two ha's there. So that's something you're gonna have to work out with spell check, I think. But
It really doesn't like unbethroned as well.
Well, that's,
I don't know where this is.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I love you.
Yeah, glad to have you here. We'll be glad to have you the next couple weeks. Congrats on maybe getting the unintentional crown picked up. And thanks for being here. A round of applause for Richard Loringer. On deck, Jared Campbell. Please welcome Billy Sheehan. Hello, Billy.
Hi. Thanks for having me. In the spirit of less is more, I also brought two sonnets. I've been kind of on my sonnet flow recently as well. And when I say sonnet, I just mean 14 lines with a twist. That's all. I've got Sonnet for Surrender first. My earliest memory is of my mother, teaching me how to blow my nose. She pressed the center of the tissue into the center of my small palm, its edges like those of a tablecloth. We take for granted these things. We just know how to create that firm seal around the nose, conquer our impulse to resist even the impression of being smothered, and clear our sinuses. How to bury our dead, how to eat alone, how we forget which came first, tenderness or surrender. And the second one is just titled Sonnet for Greatness. Earth decides to write a sonnet, tries to do her due diligence by reading all of the greats she can get her hands on. But she has no hands, and there is no library outside of her own atmosphere to which those hands could reach. She can only ever imagine great poetry, how one knows the elegant mystery of one's own beating heart, as much as an animal masters the magic of tectonics with its feet. And what else could it mean to write a great poem but to risk being humbly disarmed by one's own impenetrability? Thanks.
Ooh, good last line there, Billy. I love your definition. I love the line, when I say sonnet, I just mean 14 lines with a twist. That could be my favorite thing you said. That occurred to me to be, that must be a great cocktail recipe. You write down the 14 lines, add a little lemon, you're set. Thank you very much for your work. I really dug it. Welcome to Cobalt Poets. Please come again and read some more for us. That was really fantastic. Well done. Round of applause for Billy Sheehan. On deck is the collab, Cathabella, Jackie, Siggy, and Hermione. Please welcome now Jared Campbell. Hello, Jared.
Hello. So I've got just one poem today, but it's called Self-Portrait, and it's after a movie called Tokyo Melody that was directed by Elizabeth Leonard, and it's an absolutely beautiful meditative movie about the musician Ryuichi Sakamoto. So Self-Portrait, and it's got an epigraph by Claude Debussy, who said, "I'm working on things that will only be understood by the grandchildren of the 20th century." I'm watching Ryuichi Sakamoto watch himself in a TV advertisement showing on the side of a building. He keeps quoting Debussy the way I quote Michel de Montaigne quoting Seneca. Montaigne's father thought it was harmful to the brains of children to be snatched suddenly from sleep, so he paid a servant to wake little Michel every morning by playing soothing music on a zither. Sakamoto's showing Leonard how to use a computer to synthesize or modify a sound. Pachinko balls, a broom sweeping a courtyard, coins thrown for luck, hammers on strings, all of them can be music if brought into a relationship with other sounds. The way a Montaigne essay is a conversation between a man and his library. "I think it's less risky to write about the past than the present," said Montaigne, "since the author only has to account for borrowed truth." He didn't quote to armor himself with borrowed authority, so why did he do it? Just for the sake of conversation, and to honestly represent his way of thought. He thought in voices other than his own, and weavings of quotations and anecdotes were the honest transcript. Each voice is important only in conversation. Debussy used to say that he liked images as much as music, while Schopenhauer thought music was the greatest art form. "I like Debussy because of his variety," says Sakamoto. "He uses few sounds, but complexity emanates from a few sounds." He's playing an ostinato now. "Today," he says, "we no longer have to compose from the first to the last note in chronological order. We can start in the middle, make another part, and move them around anywhere. Musical time is no longer unidirectional. It's made of pieces." It occurs to me that this is also how I write my poems. When I start, there won't be any words for a while. Once there are words, I put them in the middle of the page, because I don't know if they come at the beginning or the end or the middle of a poem. Then if there's other words, I add them with space between. Seeing what comes between the words tells me what part of the poem they belong to. I don't say this because it's interesting. I say it in the interest of honesty, and because I wonder how Sakamoto's sense of musical time determined how his pieces develop moment to moment. In a deterministic universe, one can create at any moment and move forwards and backwards until everything is perfect. But if there are cracks between the moments, there could be a difference between a creation that begins at the beginning and one beginning at the end or middle. A motif is heard the first time only once. What's lost and gained when musical time is severed from world time and wedded to recorded time? Sakamoto is interested in the cracks in technology, errors, noise. He plays tongpu on a synthesizer with his band, then plays the same song on a piano four hands with his wife. I heartily prefer the version with hammer and string, but that might just be my conservative constitution. I grew up hearing music from pianos, so I prefer them. Habit is a violent and treacherous schoolteacher, as Montaigne would say, which, of course, is why Debussy was so misunderstood in his own time. I think every subsequent generation has understood him even less. In time, some greatness becomes appreciated, but not approached. It becomes only more foreign as it recedes into the past. Sakamoto plays his self-portrait over the end credits.
Jared, stellar epic piece that you just shared with us. That was really cool. I especially like the concept of you seeing what comes between the words and things around there. People also talked about in the chat. That was a really cool run there in that poem. I have to be honest, I really dug what you said before. It was your time when you wrote in the chat, "Yay, sonnet party." I thought that was very cool.
I love a sonnet party.
Yeah, it's you know.
There you go. Sonneteers know how to party.
Yeah, we sure do. Or I can't really include myself in that. I don't write sonnets, but I bet you do is what I should say there. But I would visit a sonnet party as a guest if invited. You know what I'm saying? Just to see what they were serving. Very good. Jared, looking forward to your featured reading in September, coming up in a while, but coming up nonetheless. Thanks for being here today. Great poem.
Thank you. Already getting nervous about it. Good to see you.
All right. Round of applause for Jared Campbell. On deck, Michael G. Hickey. Please welcome now the collab, Cathabella, Jackie, Siggy, and Hermione. I'm speaking slowly because that's how long it takes me to call everyone up and click the unmute button.
All right. Just a minute. I can share, but the world changed, so now I can't find the page. Where are we in the world? Anybody know?
Where are we?
Yeah, I need to find the writing down here.
Do you want me to pull it up?
But not, okay, you can do it, Hermione, but there's a mistake in it. I just need to find my email here. And it's, for some reason, it's so far from the beginning, I don't know where I am. You could put it up, but I don't know. Go ahead, if you can do it easily.
Can you find it? Can you find it?
No, it's, if you have it right there. Wait a minute, let me see. Here, I think I can do it now. Where is it? Okay. So that's it. Let's see. Where's the share? Here's the share. Okay. No, but, oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Okay, here we are. Okay, weather in the mail. Everybody here? Hermione. Are you there?
No, I clicked off the track. I don't see it. I'm here, but I don't see it.
Can everybody see it? Weather in the mail. Jackie, do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you can read from your page, Hermione, if you want. It's on the screen now. So we use the idea of weather. I would have asked Rick a question about weather. And we also use mail. So here we go. Hermione, can you see it?
Okay. No, I'm going to read from my copy.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. A letter.
A letter from you in the mail brought healing like the sun.
Jackie. In the midst of exuberant writing, the jarring flash of an impersonal mail from the doctor's office. That moment just really stands out right there. Okay, Hermione, my mail.
My mail carrier is cheerful no matter the weather.
No matter the weather. Very nice. Delivered to your mailroom, Amazon says. But we don't have one. So I'm still looking. Siggy.
Suspicious mail. Navy Post Office called for pickup. Odd weekend request. Mom said hot peppers and unknown Mexican spices.
Nice. Jackie. Resorting to the topic of weather, this cooling of our passion for each other. I can feel that one. Siggy.
Clean cut male teacher. Talked to cheering music fans. Front row Kiss concert. Shared photos from youth. Long hair shook as girls screamed.
Jackie. Showing me his myriad bottles of medicine, the guru revealed his own healing journey. Right. Cheering her on, I put my phone to the mic. His recorded voice booms. His own poem at his own life celebration. That just happened. Amazing if you put something on the internet, especially, and you can go back to it how many years later? 15 years later, and there's this amazing voice. Jackie. Trying to dance with stiff limbs, I remained on the bottom tier of the cheer squad. Siggy.
No use to whine, no matter hot or cold. Went to school. You need to have weather, whether you want it or not.
I love that one. Thank you, Siggy. That's wonderful. Thank you, everybody. And it's great to have all of you together. And Hermione will do it again. Right? I'm sorry.
Thank you for allowing me to be a guest reader. I really enjoyed it, and I learned so much about writing Tonka poems.
Well, I'm glad you like it, and you have a wonderful voice. So it's great to blend all our voices. Thank you, Hermione. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Siggy. Thank you, Rick. And what are you playing for us?
Oh, I was playing this old shakuhachi. The bamboo is normally lighter, but this was sometime in its life it was lacquered. In fact, it's had a long life, this particular shakuhachi. It has characteristics of very old ones. It could be 300 years old. It's certainly the oldest.
This very flute.
This very flute, yeah.
That's amazing.
It's very crude in some ways, the way it's made, but that's the way it would have been made in
300 years
in the
ago.
17th, 18th century.
That's amazing.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Cathabella, Rick, Siggy, Jackie, and Hermione. Great work tonight, as always. Glad I'm inside, not experiencing the weather at the moment.
Yes, that's true. Thank you for cheering us on, Rick.
Sure, no problem. Round of applause to the collab, everyone. Thank you for being here. On deck, Jennifer Elise Wang. Please welcome Michael G. Hickey. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Rick. Hi, everyone. Jeff, I was captivating. That's the word that kept coming in my mind. Your poetry, the realism and surrealism has this kind of synergy of a 1 + 1 = 3 for me. It was incredible, man. You nailed it. Okay, I'm going to read 2 poems. I'm in the midst of a romance scam, so everybody thinks I'm being romance scammed. And so I have to read this. And then I'll read one of my own. This is actually a cover by a friend of mine named Greg Hishak. It's called The Weather on Mercury. Mercury's elongated orbit means that in the course of its 18-hour day, one will experience severe extremes of surface temperature. At night on Mercury's shadowed side, it plummets to -180 degrees Celsius. At -180 degrees Celsius, it is cold enough to freeze even granite, which likes the cold enough to splinter the cracked shards of mortified, frozen granite. And then rising during the mercurial day to temperatures over 350 degrees Celsius, window envelopes will liquefy at 350 degrees Celsius. At 350 degrees Celsius, it is hot, and really cold on Mercury. There must be, however, about 20 minutes in the morning and again in the afternoon when it's really nice out on Mercury. Twice a day, it must be really, really nice out. And it was during one of these times that I hoped we could meet for coffee or a short walk, something just the two of us, before the elements conspire to destroy us. It is so brief for us, this window of opportunity. Thank you. And this poem, I should have read it 8 days ago, and it's obscene as hell, but you'll get over it. This is called, and I borrowed this from a Buddy Hackett joke from years and years ago. This poem is called The Kid Next Door. Part 1. Apollo 11 landed on the moon on July 20th, 1969, purportedly during Neil Armstrong's mission to stomp around on the chalk dust of Earth's nearest satellite. The first man on the moon said, "Good luck, Mr. Gorski." Gorski? Several years after the moonwalk, a space historian contacted Armstrong and asked that very question. Who the hell is Gorski? Oh, it's simple, really, Armstrong replied. I grew up in Ohio, and when I was 8, I won a science fair, and I was on the front page of the local newspaper. One day after school, I was playing in the backyard, and my baseball rolled under the Gorski house next door. I went over to retrieve it, and they were having a real doozy of an argument. I heard his wife shout, "Oral sex? Oral sex? You want oral sex? I'll give you oral sex when that kid next door walks on the moon." So, Armstrong continued, I just wanted to tell Mr. Gorski the good news. Oh, yes, the Eagles has landed, part 2. After watching the historic event on TV that fateful evening in July of '69, Mr. Gorski flashes a reptile smile at his beloved wife and retreats back to the bedroom. Meanwhile, Mrs. Gorski guzzles the last of her wild turkey, and when she slams the cocktail glass on the coffee table, tiny ice cubes jump and dance for joy. She scowls and follows him back to the bedroom. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for Mr. Gorski. Thank you.
That's a fun one, Michael. Thanks for bringing that back. I wish them well, the Gorskis.
They're doing well.
Ari, the first poem you read, it reminds me, I think it was Aristotle who first said, if you ever go to Mercury, wear a sweater.
I wasn't sure if that was Plato or Socrates. Yeah.
It was one of the three. I don't know. They used to come and just get drunk with their wild turkey and sit around and come up with these things.
Sounds more like Aristotle now that you mention
it. Michael, thank you for being here. Nice to see you again. Round of applause for Michael G. Hickey. On deck, Ed Potastic. Please welcome Jennifer Elise Wang. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, I've got 2, and probably the most first world problems, which is that
a bunch of my poems are suddenly published. Like they've been in queue for over 6 months, some of them, and they're all coming out right now. So like last week I had 2 publications, and this week I've got 2 more. One's a reprint. But yeah, so the first is from Thimble. They did a trans poet feature, and so I'll drop it in here. This is Passive Voice. Even though you are taught to avoid passive voice, it is encouraged here. Partisanship is avoided by passive voice. Culpability is not to be implied, for funding has been granted from those who may be angered at the suggestion. The scientific method is often elucidated in this manner, as results are obtained, never produced by humans who may be playing God, lowercase here, though that is not to be hinted at either. All pronouns, even the royal we, are to be removed. Judge, juror, and executioner are not to be assigned by implication. It is okay to be saddened by a violent killing, but to feel more for a fallen comrade and be stirred into naming an action is dangerous. Death is to be accepted, no matter how unjust. Sorry if you are offended. And my second piece, this was a reprint that got picked up by Erin Murphy's anthology, The Book of Jobs. And this is, I guess it's a reprint of a reprint because it got published on One Art and now it's in the university, or what is it, Penn State University publication. So this is Being Roommates with a Stripper. When your roommate is a stripper, you discover who makes the teeniest thong you can legally get away with, and that 7-inch pleasers are not too bad to walk in. When your roommate is a stripper, you start going to the gym more, not to have her body exactly, but to have the same gluteal control in order to twerk along with her in your at-home dance parties. When your roommate is a stripper, you see the stacks of ones, but not the 5s, 10s, or 20s she has given to the house and staff. When your roommate is a stripper, you stop laughing at jokes about her job because her colleague was stalked and another was threatened, while the bartender laughed at the image of her possible demise. Every night, it's a flip of the coin as to whether she'll be assaulted. When your roommate is a stripper, you learn about misogynoir, turfs and swerfs, labor rights and union-busting tactics, and that it's always sex worker and never prostitute, or the other word that sounds more apropos for fishing. When your roommate is a stripper, you get advice on how to set boundaries while still smiling at the customer. When your roommate is a stripper and getting ready for a night of picketing, while you've come home after overtime and drink a beer with some Tylenol for your carpal tunnel and plantar fasciitis and blink away your dry eyes, you realize you are selling your body too.
Jennifer, thank you. Great pieces there. You got me wondering, like, if your roommate is a stripper and you have at-home dance parties, can we combine that with the sonnet party and have like, sonnets and strippers all in one? What do you think?
I do know people who do poetry burlesque shows, so that's a thing.
Yeah, great. Well, the foundation sounds like the foundation's already there. Congrats on having so many pieces come up all at once. That's really cool. Makes you feel good and well-deserved as well. And thanks for being here.
All right, thank you.
Round of applause for Jennifer Elise Wang. I've got 2 more people signed up for the open reading and me. If anyone else would like to be added, now's your last chance to let me know. Send me a message in the chat. William James, you're on deck. Please welcome now Ed Potastic. Hello, Ed. Are you there, Edward Foreman Potastic? All right, perhaps not. We will move on to William James. Hello, William.
Hello. Thanks for having me. In honor of both the gorgeous broadside that you produced and Jeff's dear poem, I'm going to read my dear poem. Poem in which I am a doe leaping joyfully through a field of clover. Poem in which I am wrapped in tufts of soft brown fur, soft as monarchs and jewel wings that dance in the air about my head. Poem in which they brush their tiny forelegs against my ears and the tip of my nose. Poem in which the sun lands on my spine like a dragonfly settling on a lily pad. Poem in which there is not a ripple. Poem in which there is not a wave. Poem in which I am fast as rain. Poem in which I am effortless as sedge blooming from fertile soil. Poem in which I am sleek and delicate, like an oak leaf drifting in summer's breeze. Poem in which I am running not to escape, but to feel the wind embrace me. Poem in which the snapping of twigs indicates nourishment when foliage is scant, not a warning of the predator lurking in his hunt. Poem in which even the sharpest parts of me are draped in velvet. Poem in which I am a fawn speckled in white, not a child holding antlers to my head and dreaming. Poem in which I can outrun danger with a flash of white, a graceful stride, disappearing into thickets of hemlock, maple, and birch. Poem in which all around me the trees. Poem in which all around me the streams and the rock falls and the valleys and the hills. Poem in which I am free to wander everywhere my legs can take me. Poem in which the forest is always home, has not desiccated to asphalt. Poem in which birdsong has not been replaced by the throated growl of oncoming traffic. Poem in which the hunter is not sitting in his gabled farmhouse, seeing me as only hide and meat. Poem in which I am more than aftermath. Poem in which there is more to me than the way my neck mounts cleanly to a plinth of cedar. Poem in which thunder is simply music the landscape makes and not the sound of my father's gun. Poem in which he will never emerge from the shadows cloaked in a suit of blazing fire, never draw down breathless with anticipation, line my center mass within his crosshairs. Poem in which, despite the danger, I stand tall in an open field at sunset, my eyes wet and golden and gleaming in the light. Poem in which crosshatched lead or broadside arrow can never find me, never silence my heart's bleeding. Poem in which I
William, that was outstanding. There's something about list poems which almost automatically makes them good because of the rhythm in them. You read it so well, and so many great lines in it. My favorite uh, before the ending, which immediately became my favorite, was poem in which all around me trees. I thought that was just such a beautiful line. Well done. Please come back and read more for us. Thank you for being here. Round of applause for William James. Fantastic poem. One last chance. Ed Foreman, are you there? Ed Poetastic. All right. Well, I hope Ed is okay. I'm going to close out the open reading with two poems. I'm getting towards the end of my book, High Moose Alert, which I've came out about a year ago, and which I've been reading to you from almost every week. Poems I wrote in Alaska, Vancouver, and the Canadian Yukon. Towards the end of that trip, we spent a couple nights in Denali, which is such a beautiful place. And I think this is the end of our first night there, just before we went on this amazing wilderness tour the next day for like 6 or 7 hours deep into Denali, where we were hoping to see moose and bear and other things. This poem is called Goodnight Denali. I have to wake up in 7 hours, and these mountains are still prying my eyes open. A midnight woodpecker or a settling building or a startup compressor are making their presence known. Denali is everything that cities are not. Cities are everything Denali is not. I swing both ways when it comes to cities and the majesty of nature. Tomorrow is our best chance to see bear and moose. So far, it's been puppies and adult puppies and chipmunks from the land-based mammal kingdom. Whales have been tiding me over for half a week now. Denali doesn't favor one species over another, not predators nor prey. What happens in Denali stays in Denali, as has happened even before the first people set up their tents, long before Western contact. Good night, Denali. I'm too tired to tell you anything else. There you go. That's from my book, High Moose Alert. And this second poem was written after this week's Torah portion. In Hebrew, it's the word akev, which means because. The poem is called Because. Because of what we've said, because of what we've done, because of our complaints, because of our melted jewelry, because we've rebelled, because we can't live on bread alone, because of what we're about to do, because we'll learn to navigate milk and honey as we go, because the things we love are not the thing we should love, because we forgot the number one, because we should say the number one every time we gather. We should put the number one on our doorsteps, gates, and foreheads. We should put the number one on the lips of our children because of what they have the potential to do. Because if we do good, we get good. This is the geometry of the Torah, the if-then logic that paves the way, because there is no other way. All right, there you go. And that does officially count as Torah study. And as always, I will be happy to sign anything if you need to show it to your rabbi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really fantastic reading. This week and last week have just been out of sight. So thank you all for being here and making that happen by your presence and your work. Especially thanks to our featured reader, JeFF Stumpo. There's the stuff in the chat I pasted earlier. Please consider tipping Jeff for his reading via PayPal or Venmo. Please go to the Cobalt websites and look at or download his broadside. When you're on that website, if you click on email list, especially for those of you who are new here, you can add your email and you'll start getting the Tuesday and Sunday emails promoting this event every week with a convenient Zoom link and a reminder. You can also click on calendar to see who's coming up in the coming weeks. As I mentioned earlier, Terri Rose Jertson will be here next week in addition to our open reading. Also pasted into the chat are links to Jeff's book, These Are the Waterfalls in My Head. That's going to be on my bookshelf pretty soon. And finally, Jeff's website, jeffstumpo.com. Really great night. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to click on Ask All to unmute, and let's see what happens.
Wonderful stuff tonight. Thank you all.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jeff.
Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Rick.
Thank you.
It was a great night.
Thanks again, everybody.